Hi there. Thanks for joining me on Rethink Real Estate for Good. I'm Eve Picker, and I'm on a mission to make real estate work for everyone. I love real estate. Real estate makes places good or bad, rich or poor, beautiful or not. In this show, I'm interviewing the disruptors, those creative thinkers and doers that are shrugging off the status quo in order to build better for everyone. If you haven't already, check out all of my podcasts at our website, rethinkrealestateforgood.co, or you can find them at your favorite podcast station. You'll find lots worth listening to, I'm sure. Scottie Smith is a very energetic guy. He fell in love with real estate at just 19. By the time he was 21, he had invested in multiple properties and had numerous tenants. It makes sense that in 2011, Scottie founded SSA, a real estate brokerage with just one other agent. The company has doubled in size year upon year, making SSA one of the fastest growing independent real estate brokerages in Texas. He and his team of experts have brokered millions of dollars in sales, helping people across the country experience the dream of home ownership. And if that's not enough, Scottie started a real estate training program and wrote a book, From Decision to Close. It provides a practical, no-nonsense guide to home ownership. Listen in to learn more about Scottie Smith and his passion for real estate. Hi, Scottie. It's really lovely to have you with me today.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
So I have to ask, what drew you to real estate as a career?
So I've been in real estate for my entire adult life. Really started as a child when I was helping my stepfather and my mother. They're running a small contractor business. And I used to do a lot of work with him. I was doing roof work, HVAC work. I was under houses. And at the end of the project, we'd be handing somebody the key to a finished project that they will ultimately go out and make a bunch of money on. And so I wanted to figure out how. I wanted to figure out how they stopped from being on the roof in hot Houston weather. But two, I wanted to figure out how could I be the key holder at the end of that transaction. And so my senior year in high school, I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Then I went off to college, and my professor, my first real estate professor, actualized what I read in that book, and it made me say, okay, this is something that is real. It's not just something that's on paper. And that professor really challenged all of his students to purchase a property by the end of that semester. And for me, it was weird because when I went back home during the college breaks, winter and stuff like that, I still had a curfew. And so putting in my mind that I could actually own a property at such a young age blew me away. Didn't reach the goal that he set to own a property by the end of that semester. But by the time the end of the next semester rolled around, I'd taken some scholarship money that I won and refund from financial aid. And I took that and bought my first property. I was 19 years old, and
Wow.
I took what I learned in those classes and in that book and put it to work. And so from there, things just kind of spun out of control. I bought a property, and I did a deal with the international buyer, and then I did my first big flip. All of this happened so quickly before I was even the age of 21. And, I couldn't even go celebrate at the bar like I wanted to because I wasn't allowed in the bar. But it was such an experience all before the Great Recession hit that taught me a lot about real estate. It taught me a lot about me being able to educate a lot of my friends and family about purchasing real estate and helping them understand the investor's mindset and applying that to the home buying process. And so, yeah, it just kind of grew from there. And I've been, going crazy ever since.
So it sounds like you love it. So this interest has blossomed into a number of things like a brokerage, a training academy, a book,
Mhm.
and a bunch of leadership positions. I
Yeah.
wanted to talk to you about each of those. Tell me about the brokerage. When did you start that and why?
Yeah. So I started my brokerage in 2011. And let me take a step back. Before that, I was in public accounting. When the Great Recession hit, I felt like I needed to do something safe. And so I became, I got my master's in accounting from the University of Notre Dame, and really just trying to find a safe route, right? But even in that career, I realized I wasn't walking in my purpose. And so ultimately, I ended up leaving that and starting the brokerage with the expectation to help people understand how to build wealth using homeownership as that vehicle. And that's the whole premise of my entire career, right? My goal is to help people using real estate as the vehicle to do so. And so everything that I do, every purpose movement has to lead with helping people achieve and accomplish something. And so I started the brokerage. We came out the gate really swinging. It was great. I just started just helping folks. And by that time, we got picked up by, the NAR 30 under 30. They saw the work that we were doing here down in Dallas with helping families find affordable housing. And that was really the start of the brokerage, really just figuring out how to help the people who, don't necessarily always have the help.
So how big is your brokerage now?
So we've scaled back. At our largest, we were about 30 agents strong. We've scaled back to 10, and really solid agents who take the principle that I've taught and that I've built this company on, specifically about education, educating our clients. Right, everything isn't just transactional. It's about how can we equip our buyers and our sellers with the necessary information to help them make the right financial decision. And so that's kind of what our mission has been, and it continues to be, educating folks. And from that, we've gotten a number of people who have asked and approached us about becoming licensed real estate advisors or licensed real estate agents. And so that's where the academy came in. Is okay. Let's go into the community, the underserved community, and help people understand how to become licensed in the real estate industry. And so that's what I've been able to really accomplish is understanding where the need is, and bridging that gap between what folks want and what they have access to. And so a lot of people that we serve and a lot of communities that we serve, they don't really understand how to get into real estate, how to become a licensed agent or appraiser or an inspector. And so we provide the resources for very, very low cost so that people can realize and actualize this whole idea of real estate as a career.
So how many people have you trained in your academy?
At this point, since launching, we've had almost 500 students and folks who've come through
Oh, that's a lot.
through the investing academy, through the licensing academy, and through our brokerage. The number of continuing education classes that we offer agents. It's a very rewarding position to be in, and I'm really happy with what we've been able to accomplish over these last 11 years.
And who are the teachers who help you? Is that your brokerage team?
It is our brokerage team. So we have a few trainers. A lot of what we do, we have some online stuff that we offer. I've authored a textbook that allows for folks to understand the investing and development side of things. And it's really been, just a working process. We're consistently and constantly changing and evolving what the curriculum looks like, and it's fun. And so we also have a partnership with Dearborn Education, and Dearborn has provided us a lot of access to learning materials as well. So we've done some great things with them over the years.
And so I think I heard there that you also wrote a book,
Yes.
and I think it's called From Decision to Close. So what's that about?
So from decision to close, that book is ultimately just a guide. It's the simplest form, the simplest way to help people understand what the process is for purchasing and owning a home. And so I broke it down to its simplest form simply because so many people view the home buying process and that process surrounding that as antiquated, as difficult to understand, scary. It made them anxious. And the demographic that we served, I wanted to make it as easy and plain as possible. And so when somebody read this book, we want to make certain that by the end of the book, they had a breath of fresh air and they were like, oh, that's it?
And I get it. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, I've gotten a lot of, oh, okay, I didn't realize how simple it was. Yeah, it requires you do a little bit of work on the front end, but if you follow these, yeah.
It's really amazing how simple things are clouded in complicated language, aren't they?
Right, exactly.
So you talked about the demographic you serve. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so we typically serve the minority community in low income, middle income neighborhoods in the urban community, really.
This is Dallas, right?
This is Dallas, correct. And
Yeah.
so we were initially in downtown Dallas. And about 2 years ago, we've moved our office to South Dallas, specifically on Martin Luther King Boulevard. And so with our academy and with our brokerage and the Career Institute, we're hoping to impact this community, create jobs, create understanding of the industry. And because that's where we serve, right?
Right.
And so we wanted to not just sell things to the community, but now offer career training, career placement in real estate.
Yes, I think you have had some pretty high level volunteer leadership positions too,
Yeah.
if I remember correctly.
Yeah. So through the work that I've done, I've been tasked with helping the South Dallas and Southern Dallas area create an area development plan. And, South Dallas specifically is an area that had been, before we came into the community and started really developing on a mass scale, it was a community that was systemically disinvested in, strategically ignored. Schools were closing down. Homes were getting torn down. The historical elements of the community were essentially getting wiped away. And so I specifically chose this area because it was, for the most part, completely vacant. And so I wanted to build homes. With it being 6 minutes from the central business district of the city, I knew that it was a way to make an impact. I could build affordable housing, but also help to redevelop and breathe life back into a specific area. And so through that work, the city councilman has appointed me as the chair of that task force. That is, I guess our marching orders are to create a long-term development plan specifically for the area. How do we bring economic development, new commercial and residential development, create jobs and things like that. So we're putting together a really comprehensive plan around that. That's been fun. With some board stuff with the Association of Realtors, I've been placed there, really just taking my talent and my knowledge to help people understand the community that we serve, right? And so I'm kind of the advocate and the representative for, the forgotten folks.
And I think then last but not least, you're also a real estate developer.
That's correct.
Right? So you started fixing and flipping houses pretty young. What does that look like? What has that morphed into?
Whew, that has been a journey. So 7 years ago or so, I literally took a wrong turn. And that's how I found the South Dallas area, which is near Fair Park. I was supposed to turn left on the street and actually turn right on the street and ended up in this neighborhood. And I kind of just got lost in the neighborhood just to see what's going on. Around the time when the market was rebounding here in Dallas, we had a ton of, outside investors from California, New York, Florida coming to the North Texas area, buying properties all cash. And so a lot of my buyers that our brokerage was working with, were financing. They had some type of down payment assistance grants that they were working with. Took a little longer to close those deals. So we were getting looked over on properties left and right. When I made that turn, which I say was a wrong turn, but it
was really the right turn, right? Yeah.
It ended up being the right turn. I saw a vision for this area. We could build these homes and give our buyers first crack at them. And it just opened this, mountain of possibilities for us. And what started as, hey, I just want to get, a few of my clients into a home because they're frustrated, stressed out, all of those things, evolved into, okay, now I'm a community developer. I'm helping to rebuild the community. And so between my partners and I, we've built about 60 homes in
Oh,
this
wow.
area, with another 40 or so slated for the next 18 to 24 months. And so we're really working to change the outlook on how people view the South Dallas community.
So those are tough projects to do because there's no market. When you go to a bank, you're not going to be able to raise as much money. How do you make them happen?
Whew. So yes, before I actually started my first build here in South Dallas, I think I got 14 or so no's. And then finally, I had to reach out to a private lender down in Austin, who saw the potential. And because of their confidence and because of how they saw us, I still to this day continue to use them, because they were there and they have been rocking with us since the very beginning.
You had to go to a lender in Austin.
Yep, a lender almost 3.5 hours away.
14 no's.
14 no's.
Why do you think that is? I'm going to push you a little.
Well, there was no real market for it. That's first things first. It wasn't a pretty area. People did not build in the area. It was falling down. It was dilapidated. At the face of it, it had everything that, you know, worked against it. And so it was difficult to set comps. It was difficult to justify the values. And it really was for homes that we were planning on selling for $165,000. And so to get that kind of no so many times, it almost got discouraging.
Oh, I'm
And
sure it was very discouraging.
it was discouraging. But I continued to press forward because I saw the potential and I saw the purpose, and I understood the mission. And really, once we end up just saying, you know what, everything will happen just the way it should, that's when things started coming in place. We got introduced to the capital partners down in Austin. And from there, it was swing. And so, we had a little bit more skin in the game than we expected to with the lender starting, but we had to show proof of concept first. And so proof of concept worked. And what has happened is that, before it was my partner and I that were building in this area. Now we have no less than 50 other builders that are doing the same thing and really helping to speed along the process.
Right. 14 no's. Okay. That's a lot.
That is.
A lot of tenacity. So you're also doing a really funky little project called the Retreat at Lake Noir, which I personally know because you're listing it on Small Change, trying to raise funds through crowdfunding. Tell us a little bit about this project. It's a little different than the affordable housing you've been working on.
Yeah, it really is. And so, because I'm in the affordable housing development, and anyone that's in that space understands the politics behind creating affordable housing and the stresses that come with that. And so for the past 6 years, we've been doing 6 or 7 years, actually, we've been doing affordable housing. And that has been the focus. And when you're dealing with a large city like the city of Dallas, it can really beat you up. It can beat you down.
And also during the last year, the price increases must be really making it more difficult for you.
Supply chain issues, material issues,
Yes,
pricing
yeah.
on that. And so, it is difficult to work in that space. And so this year I said I wanted to get back to developing, but also having fun. And so this is really a fun project for me. I initially purchased this land to be my hunting getaway. And so I wanted to hunt. It's Texas. Everybody hunts. I do bird hunting and things like that. But I wanted it to be my hunting getaway. But then I kind of sat down and spoke with a few friends and advisors, and I realized that we could do something more. We can create a getaway, a retreat, so to speak, where folks could unplug, come off the grid, and really just, get away from the busyness that is life. And, realizing that there's a lot of people who suffer from, just mental health issues, just, a lot of stuff on their mind that they just need to pull away from. This is what I'm hoping that the retreat at Lake Noir is able to accomplish. And it's strategically located an hour and a half south of Dallas. And when you go out there, there's no service, right? And so you literally have to stand in the middle of the land to get some service. And so it's ideal because we have so much screen time. We have so much computer time as a society now. We don't ever really get to sit with our thoughts. And so with the retreat at Lake Noir, I'm hoping that people can just be at peace in a serene environment where, the luxury tiny cabins end up helping them just be.
Well, describe the project to us a little bit because it has a little lake, but how
Yep.
big is the land and what are you building?
Yeah, so it's a 15-acre site. We're building a 3.5-acre man-made lake, and we're around that lake. We'll have 20 luxury tiny cabins that will be, energy efficient, solar powered. Um, we're stocking the lake with fish. People will be able to fish and enjoy that type of stuff, boating activities. Ultimately, just giving people that getaway, that peaceful nature. And so it'll be 20, like I said, 20 cabins on a 15-acre site in the middle of nowhere.
And I've seen the cabins, they're very, very cute. So, what sets it apart? Is there anything else like that around Dallas?
No, there's nothing in that direction. There are some things in Oklahoma, um, just about 4 hours north of Dallas. They're much larger cabins called Broken Bow. And then there is one in Far East Texas that is a similar kind of getaway, a little further away. And there is something else in Far West Texas where, people can go a little bit further away from the city of Dallas than most people like to travel. But for the retreat at Lake Noir, it's the only one that I've seen that has the cabins surrounding the lake, and allows for guests to fish and boat in the lake. So
Close enough so that you could really take a weekend.
yeah,
Like an hour and a half is not a super long drive.
not at all.
Have you started construction yet?
We started site work the week of January 14th. And our guys, once they started clearing the land, we ultimately found that we had a creek coming down the left side of the property, which I'm really excited about because it allows for us to add another feature. And so we're going to put a path down the side of the creek that allows for guests to walk along that.
A little trail, yeah.
A
Nice.
little trail. So yeah.
When do you think it'll be finished? When are you going to start taking bookings?
So we're going to take bookings after the first 10 are completed. I think the target for that is at the end of the year. Full construction on this should take about 18 months from start to finish on completion on that.
And so, why crowdfunding? What are you hoping you'll accomplish crowdfunding the equity for this project?
Just being able to have more partners on a deal is exciting. I've been doing, for the past few years, I've been doing everything on my own, with, a handful of investors every now and again. But this year, I wanted to ensure that I was opening up these developments for people to get involved in, for people to see a return, and being able to take advantage of these types of investments when they normally wouldn't. And so most of these types of things are slated for accredited investors. And I don't think it's fair that
Oh,
accredited
yeah.
investors can have all the
No,
fun. So
me too. But I think I see another class calling you in the training academy about crowdfunding, investing through crowdfunding.
right, yeah. That is something that has been written down up here on my board. Uh, I think the first step is successfully complete a crowdfund. So
Yeah, yeah. But I think, yeah, it does require education for sure, teaching people how to invest.
mhm.
So I'm just gonna some wrap up questions. What accomplishments are you proudest of? You've done a lot in a short time.
That is a lot. I will say this: I'm a father, so I have to lead with that. These kids, they blow me away every day. They're good and decent kids. So that accomplishment of being a good father is dynamic. Like, that's first and foremost. But from a real estate perspective, I think when I made 30 under 30, that was a goal that I wrote down when I first became a broker. And it was because there was a gentleman on the front cover of the Realtor magazine that was in Plano. And that's just, 30 minutes north of Dallas. And I went and talked to him. And I said, my goal is to be able to get on the front page of Realtor magazine as a 30 under 30 recipient. And we had a really long conversation. He told me what to do, kind of forgot the conversation. And then I picked it up and said, this is the year. And I hit that. I applied for 5 years straight.
Oh, that's sad.
5 years straight. And on the 5th year, they finally was like, I guess this guy isn't giving up.
Giving up, yeah.
And so it was such a awesome experience.
Good.
For me.
That's great. That's really great. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Final question. What's next for you after the retreat? Any other plans?
Yes. So with this tiny cabin community, a lot of people reached out to me with concepts and ideas, and I'd never really thought about the idea of having a tiny home community for sale. Somebody they passed me over a development that was going on in Atlanta. That was a tiny cottage community that they were selling, and I looked at it and I said, wow, everything under, for the most part, under 200,000. And in Dallas, we have an affordable housing crisis. And so I figured,
all over the world, we have an affordable housing crisis.
Right. So it's, I said, if this is a way that I can create more affordable housing and figure out how to do what I need to do there, I think I should explore it. And so I've been exploring it, and I've identified a few sites here in the city of Dallas, pretty much already zoned for what I needed to do. And I think I'm going to do a tiny home community here in the city of Dallas, but a for sale model. And so that's going to be next up.
I can't wait to see it. Well, thank you very much for joining me. I thoroughly enjoyed hearing about your exploits, and you'll be like 50 under 50 sometime, 40 under 40. I don't know. There's more goals.
Very good. Thank you so much for having me.
30 under 30 is an amazing accomplishment. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
You can find out more about this episode or others you might have missed on the show notes page at our website, rethinkrealestateforgood.co. There's lots to listen to there. A special thanks to David Allardyce for his excellent editing of this podcast and original music. And thanks to you for spending your time with me today. We'll talk again soon, but for now, this is Eve Picker signing off to go make some change.